Well, hello, fine people of the internet. I am Raz, and we are here with my first kind of true review video. I know I kind of have another video where I talk a little bit about Starfield and my thoughts about it, but I don't consider that to be a review video. That's just more me sharing my opinions and rebuffing what a lot of people think of that game. But this is my first foray into a true review video. So please forgive me if it's a little rough, if I get a little rambly. I'm brand new to this format of video, so please forgive me if this isn't as fancy or as cool as most of the other bigger YouTubers are. That being said, I'm a really small creator, so I'm not getting paid to say any of this. I got a comment on that on my last video is somebody thought that Bethesda was paying me to talk about Starfield. I have less than 50 subscribers. I think right now I would have to check. I think maybe I only have 19. So nobody's paying me for anything. Literally nobody's paying me for anything except for my Twitch subscribers. If you want to see me live streaming over on Twitch, you can go to twitch.tv/razgames. Same tag as here. So a couple housekeeping things to keep in mind. This video is all just my own opinion. Again, I'm a small creator. You don't have to take my word for it. This is just me sharing what I think. I think I have a very different perspective on video games from a lot of other people. So if you want to hear a slightly different perspective, definitely keep watching because I do not share a lot of the same opinions on Dragon Age Veilguard and video games in general as a lot of other people. And I think I want to do a video on why that is later, because I do have a certain background and experience that I think changes my view of a lot of video games. So another little housekeeping thing. So for Dragon Age Veilguard, I downloaded it on November 1st. I completed it on November 8th. And it took me about 70 hours to complete. So yes, I put in 70 hours in about 7 days, which is a little insane, but I was really enjoying it. And this is not the first Dragon Age installment that I have played. I actually currently have more hours into Dragon Age Origins than I do Veilguard, and I did 2 full playthroughs of Dragon Age Origins, so I have played previous installments of this game. So, I think we will just get into this review. Oh yeah, one more thing. This review is going to be almost entirely spoiler-free. I might hint at some stuff, but you are safe from the major story endings. I am not gonna say what happened. I am only gonna say my reaction to those things. So you're safe from any major spoilers. I might hint at some stuff in like some more minor side quests or companion quests, but you are safe from the major story here. No major story spoilers here. All right, so let's just get into it. We're gonna start off on a very high level with music and environment. We can all agree the environments are beautiful. The team that designed all of the exterior and interior spaces did a fantastic job. The cities are varied. Everything feels like it could be a real place. It is all very, very pretty to look at. I think the lighthouse area is super cool, and I think my favorite zone, I think the prettiest zone in my opinion is Arlithan Forest. I absolutely love Arlithan Forest. The next thing is the music. Unfortunately, I really thought the music fell short. I mean, it serves a purpose, but other than that, I really don't think the music is anything to write home about. Doesn't make me want to seek out a music soundtrack. I love video game music in general, and I often have playlists of it that I listen to, but I did not really find the music to be all that compelling. It's just kind of there. The character models look really good. I know some people complained about lip syncing issues. And while that does occur, I don't think it occurs super often, and it didn't really bother me all that much. Like, there was maybe a handful of times where I noticed, but to be honest, stuff like that never bothered me, especially because I actually used to do 3D animation, and lip syncing is the hardest thing to get right when it comes to animation. It is by far the hardest thing. And I know other games have done a much better job, but I tend to be a little bit more forgiving in that aspect because I've actually had to do that before. And it's really, really hard. And I'm sure the technology has improved since then, but still, I don't think it's anything that's that huge of a deal to me anyway. Um, Speaking of characters in general, like their personalities, there were some characters that I absolutely loved. There were some that I was just neutral about, and some that I absolutely hated and I thought were extremely poorly written. I am going to do another video later on covering all of the companion quest lines and what I thought of them, because some of them are really good and some of them are absolutely atrocious. So I'll be doing a more in-depth video on characters and what I think of those, because I think the characters kind of deserve their own moment. I don't really want to spend too much time here, but overall, my thoughts on the characters are very mixed. I thought some were very, very well done and very deep and complex and had issues that kind of touched close to my own heart. And then there were some where I just felt they were really shallow or poorly written. So that's kind of a mixed bag there for me for the characters. But I will say I liked pretty much all of your companions. Pretty much all of them I liked. There's one or two in there that I was not a fan of, but I will get into that in another video. The overall story. Again, I am not going to spoil anything about the larger story at hand, but I will just say that I loved the main story. I thought it was really good. It was really high stakes. I liked it even more than the Dragon Age Origins story. And the ending left me with a hole in my heart. Honestly, like, I was an emotional wreck after I finished the main story. I was crying. After it finished, I just kind of sat there at my computer and I just had to think for a while. It really left me just with this raw, shredded heart, and I've never had a game do that to me before, where after the ending, I just had to put the game down for a while and just think about my life. It really had this huge impact on me, and I thought main story just very, very well done, very emotional, really left me with a lot of different feelings. All right, now we're gonna get into some opinions that are a little bit more polarizing. These are things we're gonna get into some stuff that I really did not like. So first we're gonna start off with the combat. So there's things that I liked and disliked about the combat. So the combat, overall, I did like it for the most part. I'll get into what I hated later, but I really enjoyed the action combat aspect. The visuals are amazing. The animations feel satisfying. Every ability just feels good to press. Like, I think that's super important, when it feels good to push that button and you want to use it. That's a really, really important thing. My first playthrough, I played a Deathcaller mage. I thought that was super fun. There's a lot of big, heavy hitting AoE, a lot of really cool, like, green, creepy visuals. I really, really enjoyed the Deathcaller mage as a person who's a big fan of just, like, big, hard hitting AoE and just abilities that siphon health from enemies, kind of almost negated the need for healing potions for me some of the time. So that was really cool. So I really enjoyed the Deathcaller mage. The second character I rolled is a rogue. They are not up to their specialization yet, but I am planning on going Veil Ranger with them. So rogue also feels very good. And also, as far as combat difficulty, my first playthrough on the mage, I played on story mode. This is simply because I am a person who takes a long time to grasp combat in general, and this was a brand new system of combat that I knew I had never played before. As we all know, Dragon Age Origins is a lot different. With this game, I really wanted to make sure that I got a handle on the combat. Plus, I just do not enjoy challenging combat, at least for solo games. Obviously, if you watch me play World of Warcraft, I do Mythic Plus and Heroic Rating, which is challenging, but that's more in a group setting. So at least for solo games, I do not enjoy a challenge. I just like to blow stuff up, and I don't like to spend a whole lot of time figuring out tactics and figuring out this and figuring out that. That's just not my style. I don't like a challenge when it comes to combat in solo player games. So the first time I did play through on story mode, And I do feel like even for me as a person that does not like challenging combat, story mode definitely trivialized a lot of stuff. Not that that is a problem. I think that is great for accessibility for folks who truly do not like combat and are truly there for the story. I do believe story mode did accomplish that. One game that I feel like did not accomplish that was Baldur's Gate 3. I tried to play through on story mode for Baldur's Gate 3 with the combat, and I was struggling so hard. I did not like it. I did not enjoy it. I thought that Larian did a terrible job with story mode on Baldur's Gate 3, and that it's still way too hard. I do not like tactical combat. I do not like turn-based combat. Baldur's Gate 3 was the first game of its kind that I had played. Everybody was telling me to play it for the story and just set it to story mode and that I would be fine. It was not fine. So I do think that BioWare did a really good job of making story mode combat actually story mode. So if you're interested in playing through Dragon Age Veilguard and you're not really a combat person, I do think that they did a good job. That being said, my second playthrough with my rogue, I did set it to more of the normal settings. And I actually really enjoyed that a lot more than the story mode, because even though I don't like a combat challenge, I still felt like I was having a lot of fun. Even though it was a little more challenging, it wasn't that steep. And by now, after a full playthrough, I had a really good grasp of the combat. Again, I just take a long time to learn combat systems. So by this time, I had a really good grasp on it. I knew what I was doing. So on my second playthrough, when I upped the difficulty, I actually had a lot of fun, and I was really enjoying it. And one real quick thing I want to mention is a lot of people, I see a lot of other reviewers saying, oh, I can't control my companions. All I can do is blah, blah, blah. I don't have a problem with this. Like I said, I played Dragon Age Origins where you could control your companions, and this change for me was not that big of a deal to me. I didn't find it, again, I like more simplified combat. I like when things are more simple. I like when they're more easy. That is just me. That is just my opinion. I don't care that I can't control my companions. I really don't. I think it's just fine to just hit a few buttons and have them kill your opponent. So that's just me. That's just my opinion. I really do not have a problem with the fact that you can't control your companions. That being said, the problem that I do have with the combat is it is way too heavily balanced in the favor of the enemies. So it really feels like, please excuse my cat, you can probably hear him yowling. He loves to do that whenever I'm talking on a video. So the combat is far too heavily balanced in the favor of the enemy. And what I mean by that is, not counting like the very lowest level, like we'll call them trash mobs, like your basic darkspawn or your basic bad guy. I'm talking about like the more advanced enemies, like the bosses, the mini bosses. Those guys are a little bit too spammy. And what I mean by that is they have no cooldowns. Whereas you do. It always seems like these mini bosses and these bosses are constantly spamming their best abilities while you are running around with no mana or no momentum or no rage, and all you can do is just basic attacks for 30 seconds. And that is just so frustrating to me. And your companion abilities have cooldowns too. So let's say you're out of everything. You're out of all of your abilities. You're out of your companion abilities. There's probably a good 30 seconds there where the enemy is just spamming, like an unblockable hit, and then they follow up with like an AoE, and then they follow up with this, and then they follow up with that. And it's just so spammy. And not only that, but often you have more than one enemy that is all focusing you at the same time that this is happening. So you have about 8 different things coming at you at once. You have nothing left. And it's just really unfair. I think the combat system is extremely unfair and balanced far too much towards the enemy. There are ways around this. My way around it was to either have Davrin or Tosh in my party, and I maxed out their taunt, and I would have them taunt every once in a while. And then I also had a gem slotted into my dagger that would also bring the enemy's attention off of me. So there are ways around this, but I don't think that those should be necessary, especially early game before you have access to any of that. You're just kind of screwed. The enemies are going to really focus you hard. They're going to target you with everything they got. And because the enemies don't appear to have any cooldowns and they can just spam whatever they want, there's some times where all you're doing is running around and dodging for far too long, and that feels really bad. There needs to be some sort of counterplay. There needs to be some sort of way that that can't happen. There needs to be a down phase, because you and your companions have a down phase where you're kind of out of everything. It doesn't seem like the bosses and the mini bosses ever have that ever. There's no down phase at all, and there needs to be something like that. So yeah, that's really the kind of thing that I really did not enjoy about the combat. It just seems balanced way too heavily in the favor of the enemies, and I think that the enemies can just kind of cool off a little bit. They can cool down, pun intended. All right, so now we're gonna talk about the thing that I hated the most. The thing that I hated the most was the side quests. Okay, so I just want to say that for the questing, in my entire playthrough, I played through obviously all of the main story. I played through every single companion quest line all the way up until the end, because you reach an end of the companion quest line, and then there's usually a follow-up quest after that, so I did all of that. And then I did every single side quest except for 2. So the 2 side quests that I did not complete were, it was a random treasure hunting quest, and then there was a find the 5 wolf statues quests. The reason why I did not complete those 2 is because by the time I was about ready and I kind of knew that the final story was coming and I had those 2 kind of hanging out there, I physically could not bring myself to complete those last 2. And the reason for that is the side quests were so atrocious and so annoying and so repetitive that I felt ill when it came to me thinking about finishing these last 2. And it's because nearly all of the side quests are the same. You can go around to the different areas and it's all either find the treasure, find the object, find the person. And then there's a handful of combat quests in there. The combat side quests were my favorite because it didn't involve searching around for something. And that is the biggest blunder, in my opinion, in this game, is the find X, Y, or Z quests. There are so many of them, and they are all terrible. The problem I have with these search and find quests is the visual for finding your object or finding what you need to find is so tiny. It's this tiny little white circle that once you're standing on top of it, then it lights up and it says investigate. But even that is not enough. It is not enough visually. I think that they did a horrible job with most of these quests that involve searching for something. The quest marker will kind of lead you to the area, and then it'll just show up as a bubble on your minimap, and you have to search within that bubble. And often I found myself running around in circles, covering every square inch of this bubble, and not able to see my objective because the tiny little white circle just blended in with the environment around me, and it didn't stand out at all. And it was extraordinarily frustrating to do this over and over and over. But then every once in a while, if you had to find something, it would light up with like the bigger quest marker, like the actual like compass rose kind of looking thing. And there was no consistency in this. Like sometimes you would get the tiny little visual, sometimes it would light up with the bigger one, and it would be no problem to find. It needs to be the bigger one every time, okay? Like, we can't have this tiny little circle that you need to be standing this close to for these search and find quests. I just think it's incredibly frustrating. If you are a low vision player, I am so sorry for you. Like, I cannot imagine how hard these quests were for you because there's just no feedback at all. Like, you have to be standing on top of the thing, like facing it in order to see it. And I personally think that that is unacceptable and that they need to change it. It needs to be a bigger quest marker, or the object needs to glow or something like that. I think the current state of these like treasure hunter or find the object quests is completely unacceptable, and it is horrible, and I wasted so much time. I aged 10 years trying to find these objects that are dang near impossible to find. So yeah, I think that is a huge blunder. The side quests just absolutely sickened me. They all blurred together into just like one big find the thing, find the person, whatever. I'm sure there might be one or two side quests in there that are a little bit more entertaining, but I honestly can't remember at this point because they all blurred together because they were all so bad and so boring. So yeah, side quests are absolutely terrible, and it kind of sucks because if you want to have like the good ending, you kind of have to do all of them. So it's, I don't know. I think the side quests are absolutely atrocious, and that is the thing that I am looking forward to the least when it comes to my subsequent playthroughs. I'm probably going to have to look up other ways to raise my reputation because the thought of doing all that all over again, and that's why I didn't complete those last two quests, which was find the wolf statue and find the treasure, is because I was so sick of looking for stuff, I just couldn't do it. I just felt nauseous. The thought of doing this all over again just literally made me nauseous. So, all in all, I think that covered just about everything. I know I didn't really get into characters all that much, but I really want to do a separate video on that. Overall, I do not think that this game is as bad as people are making it out to be. Certainly do not think it is perfect, but I genuinely did enjoy it. I wouldn't have put in 70 hours in almost 7 days if I didn't enjoy it. I think that people are making big deals out of pretty much nothing in this game. Like, for example, some of the dialogue, some people are saying that the dialogue is terrible. I don't think the dialogue is terrible at all. I think most of it is really good. Yes, there are some cringy lines, okay, like, there definitely are, but I think for the most part it's fine, and most of the time it's actually really good. So I don't know. I thought the dialogue was fine. I think that people are exaggerating a little bit. There are some scenes in Dragon Age that I find to be completely unacceptable and inappropriate. But again, that's something that I will get into in a different video in more in depth. But yeah, for the most part, dialogue was fine. A lot of people are saying it's not dark enough. I think that is complete and utter horse shit. Because this is probably one of the darkest games that I've played. And just because there is some humor doesn't negate all the other stuff that's going on. There's some really messed up stuff that you see in this game, and I think that people are over exaggerating the humor, and they're saying that this game is not dark, and I completely disagree with that. I think there's a lot of things that are extremely dark in this video game, and I think it's even darker than Origins. Honestly, I really do. I really think it is. Um, and a lot of people are saying that they hated all of the characters, which I just don't understand. I don't share that opinion. There was one reviewer who said that he hated every single one of his characters and just wanted them all to die, and I'm just like, did you even play the game? Like, I don't know. I think that some of the characters are extremely compelling and their journeys are really good. So that's just an opinion that I have. I'm not really sure where people are getting that all of the companions are trash. I don't know. So overall, I think I would give this game a 7 out of 10. I think overall it's very good. I think there's definitely some room for improvement, but I also don't think that it is as bad and as dramatic as people are making it out to be. I do not regret the time or money that I spent on it. I am looking forward to playing more, and I did enjoy this, actually more than I did Dragon Age Origins. So yeah, I hope you all enjoyed. Please make sure to like and subscribe if you want to see more. If you want to see me live streaming, I am over on twitch.tv/razgames. I do not plan on streaming Dragon Age Veilguard. Personally, for me, Veilguard is one that I just need to spend alone. This is a game that I just want to spend alone time with just because it did have such an emotional impact on me, and I want to continue to just kind of experience it on my own. But if you just want to see more of me in general, you can head on over to my Twitch, or you can follow me on these social medias. So anyway, I hope you all have a fantastic rest of your day. I will see you in the next video. Bye.